pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly!
Flight outside of speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
That's not right. That's right there. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another beautiful view from Cape Canaveral, where we are standing by for a Starlink launch. Falcon 9 over there on the pad. We have a remote feed out there from the press site. Y'all know how it starts. Let us know that you can hear us. And, well, do not see us. Make sure you can see the rocket is what you want to see. 5x5. Give me a 5x5 and just let us know that the audio is good right now. I'll be one of your hosts today. I'm John Galloway with NASASpaceflight. If you're watching on Twitch, you may know me as Das. Out in the field today, we've actually got Thomas Burghardt. Thomas, let's do an audio check and see if we are reading you right now. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for tuning in for tonight's launch. I'm Thomas Burghardt, reporter for NASASpaceflight, coming to you live from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
All right, folks, how can y'all hear Thomas? Let me know. Can you hear Thomas just fine? He is out there at the Cape, and if you see that little red windsock, you can tell that there's a pretty good amount of wind out there, so we are once again fighting the wind noise, but you should be able to hear him. 5x5, perfect. Audio good, audio good. All right. Excellent. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for being out there with the camera rig rolling solo today, bringing us this beautiful view of pad 39A with that Falcon 9 sitting on the launch pad. Also, back in the studio today, we will have Chris Gebhardt, assistant managing editor for NASASpaceflight. Chris, give me an audio check. You with us?
I am indeed. How's it going, Das?
Oh, I'm hanging in there and talking fast like I usually do. So Chris will be providing some remote commentary. He is not at the press site today, but he will be providing some remote commentary for us as we are just currently over 50 minutes, just over 50 minutes away from the launch of this rocket, hopefully down there at the Cape. Again, this is a live show here on the NASA Spaceflight channel. We do these live and we do them with commentary. So if you have questions for us, tag us in chat at NASA Spaceflight. We've got some cool software on the back end that will grab your questions as long as you tag them, and we'll do a little bit of live Q&A. So while I get that set up, Thomas, do you want to give us a rundown on how you're feeling out there today and what we're looking at?
Absolutely. So today's mission is one of those big old batch of Starlink satellites, 60 Starlink satellites on board, continuing to build SpaceX's internet satellite constellation. Today's mission is launching on a Falcon 9 rocket from historic Launch Complex 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The first stage on this flight is booster 1058. That is the same booster that launched Bob and Doug on the historic Demo 2 mission, as well as the NASA's 2 communications satellite for South Korean military. So this is the booster on its third flight today, and you can see in the view that the bottom stage is a little toasty. There is also one reused fairing half on board this mission that has flown on 2 prior Starlink missions, and that half is actually the first one to fly a third mission, so another reuse milestone on this mission today for SpaceX. As far as recovery goes, the first stage will attempt a landing on Just Read the Instructions, one of SpaceX's drone ships, out downrange in the Atlantic Ocean. And there is also, I believe, one fairing recovery ship currently downrange. There were going to be 2, but we saw one divert to a nearby port near the landing zone. We don't know the reasoning behind that, but I believe there's actually only one at the recovery zone right now. Chris, is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Go Mystery is currently in Morehead City, North Carolina, having gone there. And that leaves Go Mischief, which is out there and will attempt to grab the fairings. So we'll wait for SpaceX to say exactly what they want to do, but Go Mischief does have the net on it, as you see in that picture there. But we'll wait to see if they're actually going to attempt to catch one of them, or if they'll just let them both splash down into the ocean and then go grab them very quickly after that.
Absolutely. So that is even farther downrange than the drone ship is, several hundred kilometers downrange. I'm forgetting the exact number off the top of my head, so I don't want to mess it up. Chris, do you know?
Yes, so Just Read the Instructions is 630 kilometers northeast of the Kennedy Space Center, and Go Mischief is about 730 kilometers northeast of the Cape. So the fairing catcher is about 100 kilometers further downrange than the drone ship is.
There you go. So that is the recovery efforts planned for today. Of course, today's mission is to a low Earth orbit. So we should expect only one second stage burn to that low Earth orbit, and then a coast phase prior to payload separation. Usual, we will be tracking the camera from here best we can. This is my first time on the camera rig, so go easy on me, Chad. If I'm not tracking it perfectly, I'm going to do my best. We'll also have the official SpaceX camera feeds to plug in, so we'll give you all of the best views that we're getting of today's launch. And then, of course, we will plan to follow the second stage and its payload onto orbit. But before any of that happens, we have to get off the ground. And the one thing we're looking at right now is weather. The latest weather forecast issued earlier today is a 70% chance of acceptable weather, so fairly good chances. We're looking at some anvil clouds and cumulus cloud rules in effect. So we're going to wait and see if those might come into play, but a decent chance that weather will cooperate today. Liftoff is scheduled for 2:19 p.m. Eastern Time, 16:19 UTC. And we're going to wait and see if that cooperates. But yeah.
Indeed. And DOS, are you...
1819 UTC, isn't it?
I put you a
1819
message
yes.
in Control Center, Chris. I put you a message in Control Center.
Yes, so the index page is actually exactly what I want you to go to.
Yeah, that's going to take a second.
Specific one than that. Yes.
It's going to take a second, so stall.
Okay, no. That's good. I just wanted to know exactly what to say. We're going to talk a little bit about that weather forecast today, and we're going to use some of the weather satellites that are in orbit, specifically the Goes East weather satellite that looks down on our particular hemisphere here to demonstrate what we mean by the anvil cloud and cumulus cloud rule that's leading to that 30% probability of violation. But DOS is working on getting all of that done. So it is worth noting too, Thomas, that as you mentioned, the booster is 1058. This is the one that launched the Demo 2 mission on May 30th with Bob and Doug up to the International Space Station, and then launched the NASASpaceflight flight on the 21st of July. And this one is flying again 58 days after it flew the previous time, and that previous time on sorry, just 1 second, I got a message. And that previous mission itself was the one that actually broke the worldwide record for this for the quickest turnaround between the same orbital rocket. So this booster is clicking along, and you can really see SpaceX, especially with this booster 1058. You can see how good they're becoming at turning these things around very quickly. Break the worldwide record on turning around between flight 1 and 2, and then come back and do it at nearly the same pace again between the second and third missions. You can really see how good they're getting at this particular turnaround effort.
Absolutely, a record-setting booster flying today. It's super exciting, and it's important to remember that so this booster first flew on the Demo 2 mission, and at the time of that launch, we were expecting all commercial crew missions to need new hardware, at least in the form of boosters. And then shortly after launch, we found that those boosters might actually be reused. See a booster from the next commercial crew mission, Crew 1, potentially fly again on Crew 2 or something like that. So not only does that speak to the success SpaceX is having for their commercial missions, it's also setting them up for success for supporting commercial crew with reused hardware, which is super exciting.
It really is. And real quick, as we keep going here, I just want to grab a few super chats that have come in. Thank you so much to all of you who have sent us some super chats. Future Martian 97, $20 says, thanks for the stream as always, guys. Thanks so much. Moldy Space Industry is a regular along with Future Martian. Thanks for the $5 saying, hey everyone, here's to another beautiful and loud launch. Also, hi Thomas. And
what's up, MSI?
Yeah, Thomas has a fan base. Nice. And then Bill Sutchton, thanks for the £5. He says coffee money again, and yes, coffee money for Thomas on that particular regard. But yes, thank you so much for those of you for all the super chats. It's greatly appreciated. That's in large part how we help sustain our effort to bring you all of these missions here as they happen. And as you can see, we've just ticked under the 45-minute and counting mark until the anticipated launch of the 13th overall Starlink mission and the 12th of the version 1 satellites, which are the main operational batch that SpaceX began launching in November of just last year. And man, Thomas, can you believe that? Like these operational ones started launching in November of last year. It seems like it's been so much longer than that.
And Chris, I'm ready
Just
to.
this way.
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Thomas.
I was just, I'll finish up that thought, and then I know we're going to go to the weather thing. Just think of it this way: operational Starlink missions started last November. It has not been a year yet, but we're already on the 12th mission. So they're averaging more than one Starlink mission a month, which there are launch providers that don't launch one mission a month, period. And SpaceX is supporting their internal Starlink program in addition to all of their customers over that time. So it's important to know just how ridiculous SpaceX launch cadence has been and how well they're supporting all of the different missions that they launch.
Indeed it is. And Das, are we ready to go into weather mode here?
We're ready to try. Let's see what this looks like real quick. We should be able to do that. And y'all should be able to see the weather screen that you had sent me. So just tell me what to click on. I don't know what you want me to click on.
So that very first one, GeoColor, click on animation loop for me.
Animation loop. There you go.
Yeah. And what you'll be able to see here as it loads, right? So we talk about cumulus clouds and anvil clouds. And watch that line of clouds as it descends across the mid-range of the Florida Peninsula there. And all of a sudden you see the tops of them starting to get blown faster than the rest of the storm out toward the Atlantic, out toward the Cape. So that line is the cumulus cloud line that we were concerned about, and that stuff that's being blown off the top of them are the anvil clouds. And basically what cumulus cloud rule and anvil cloud rule mean, it's the fancy and official way of saying we're concerned with lightning and the potential that those anvil clouds can continue to carry the electrical charge of a thunderstorm if they remain attached. And even if they're not directly over, if the vehicle passes within a certain range of the edge of an anvil, it can produce something that's known as triggered lightning, which is when the natural electrification of the atmosphere is not enough in and of itself to produce a lightning strike, but because a rocket is a gigantic conductor and actually lowers the overall amount of electrical energy you need in the atmosphere to trigger a lightning strike, that becomes the concern, is that the rocket could end up bringing all of those conditions into perfect harmony and actually getting struck by lightning from something that it triggers. So that's the rule that we're concerned with today. But as you can see, they have stayed far enough away that this is not a concern for us right now. But that concludes today's weather report. Back to you, Thomas.
Nice.
Thank you, Chris. On the ground here, I can report that, it's a little windy, although it keeps kind of picking up and then dying down. It's not so windy that I think it'd be a concern, and that wasn't listed as one of the primary concerns in the weather forecast. So I think the weather is sufficient enough that you might hear it on the microphone, but not sufficient enough to delay a launch. So that's looking good, and there's plenty of blue skies, some small clouds here and there, but only partly cloudy. So hopefully it's looking like the weather will cooperate for today.
Indeed, and we actually have a weather question here, and a couple of questions that we can run through really quick that have come in. Martin Smith wanted to know, has the hurricane passed by the Cape? So the storm that Martin, that you're referring to, is Hurricane Sally, which made landfall near Gulf Shores, Alabama, and Pensacola, Florida, and is currently a remnant of itself over the Carolinas. that is part of what is triggering the weather concerns for today, but it's also mainly due to the fact that that system is merging with a frontal system over the Carolinas. And it's drawing in a whole bunch of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico over Florida today. So it is a mixture of what's left of Hurricane Sally and this cold front, but the hurricane has left Florida but did not actually impact the Kennedy Space Center or the launch site for this particular one.
It's impacting me up here in Charlotte in that radar imagery. I'm actually up near the top, and we have been getting just dumped on all day. It started early this morning, and it's supposed to go all the way through the evening till tomorrow morning. So I'm getting a ton of rain up here. Happy that band hasn't reached y'all yet. That's for sure.
Indeed. Oh, I think we're all very happy about that today. At least it gives us a fighting chance at getting Starlink off the ground. And speaking of Starlink, Edward has a question here. When are we going to see a payload that isn't a bunch of Starlink satellites? And that's a great question. If you can give SpaceX 13 days, you'll be in luck. What we understand to be the next mission for SpaceX after this Starlink flight will be the 4th GPS-3 satellite going up from Pad 40, and that is currently slated for no earlier than 8 p.m. Eastern on the 30th of September, which would be midnight UTC on the 1st of October. So basically 13 days, and we'll get the next non-Starlink payload. And then, of course, later on in October, we also have Victor, Mike, Shannon, and Soichi launching up toward the International Space Station from this particular pad. And I see that our little banner has just changed from a timer to say the word scrub. So I'm assuming I'm assuming something has happened. Let me
The guy sitting at Kennedy Space Center would love to know what that is.
Yeah. Intriguing.
Yeah, it looks like a SpaceX is
so
standing down from the launch. Yeah.
Is that? Do we have a tweet from SpaceX?
So we have a tweet from Michael
Michael Baylor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Saying that SpaceX is standing down from the launch today. Next attempt no earlier than 9:18, which would be tomorrow there. So Go ahead, Chris. Sorry, I'm jumping on top of it there.
No. That's great. I'll just slide in with the back half of that. So yes, with a scrub today, we understand that it is not a technical issue with the rocket itself, but we will look to see exactly what it is, but not a technical issue today that got them. But if they do indeed target tomorrow, the probability of violating the weather constraints increases dramatically to a 70% no-go weather violation odd for the exact same reasons we have today. Cumulus clouds and anvil clouds. So tomorrow would be both a potential for triggered lightning and naturally occurring lightning in the area, and a much more dynamic weather event. So weather odds itself not looking all that great. But yeah, that does appear like what we have. That does appear to be what has happened today. Unfortunately, that they have scrubbed.
Okay, I just want to recap and make sure I didn't miss anything. Did we say we don't have a reason for the stand down, just that they are now moving to the backup opportunity tomorrow at the earliest?
That is correct. We know that they have stood down for today, not for a technical reason. So
okay. So potentially
that
weather
preserves tomorrow. Yes, okay. Preserves the attempt tomorrow, and again, even with the 70% no-go odd for tomorrow, remember,
we're still going to make Thomas drive down there.
No,
or me, or both of us.
Yeah, I think it might be both of us actually tomorrow, so maybe it'll work out a little bit.
Yeah, folks.
But that is okay.
But the larger thing that I wanted to talk about here for tomorrow is we have some other dynamics that are setting up. For today, the additional risk categories for today, upper level winds, booster recovery, and solar activity were all low risk criterias. Tomorrow, the booster recovery effort becomes a moderate concern. And this is largely due to the fact that what is left of Hurricane Sally that is merging with this frontal system that we just talked about and showed you the weather loop for is tomorrow going to be basically really impacting the recovery area off the coast of North and South Carolina. So booster recovery becomes an additional concern on top of the launch site weather. And one thing that we do want to remain cognizant of is that this is an internal mission to SpaceX. They have and will scrub missions if they cannot recover the booster successfully because of weather and wait it out. So we could potentially also see that be a factor tomorrow. But unfortunately, Thomas, it looks like you can pack up the camera and start the drive back.
Well, that was going to be my next question here. They're not really kicking us out of the press site at this exact moment, probably because it's not been an official SpaceX statement yet.
Yeah.
So I can if we have any burning questions or something to do really quick, we can do that while I'm sitting there.
That's what I was gonna say. It's such a fantastic
Yeah.
view. The view of the pad is great today with the lighting and stuff like that. So if we have some time to answer a couple questions while we wait for the official confirmation, again to report to everybody. I know a lot of people just coming into the stream. Our information is that the Starlink launch has been scrubbed for today. We're standing by for SpaceX to issue an initial official announcement on that, hopefully with a reason why it was scrubbed. But our information currently is that this launch is scrubbed for today, but we'll answer some Q&A stuff here while we wait for SpaceX to officially confirm that. Had it been going on, the launch was supposed to be in less than 30 minutes, just around 30 minutes, just over 30 minutes right now. So I imagine we'll get word from SpaceX shortly.
Basically, if they were still on track, again, they have scrubbed, but if they were on track, they would be about a minute, 2 minutes into propellant loading.
Yeah, right. There you go.
So, and of course, we can see no condensation, no frosting, no nothing down at the base of the rocket as well right now.
So we have it on good information that it's officially scrubbed. We're just waiting for SpaceX actual to say that. Is that the right way to say it?
Yep.
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
And I will interrupt you guys if I start getting kicked out of the press site. So
sure, which would be another good indication.
Yeah. I was going to say, yes.
So just really quickly, let me grab the super chats. Jason Griswold, we appreciate you. Jason said, John, Chris, Thomas, thanks for giving us your Space Geek fix. We appreciate you there, Jason. Thank you so much for the support. Also, Jack Vaccaro, that's a question there. When will the next Falcon Heavy launch be? Do we have that on the manifest yet? Or is that sort of a no earlier? What is it, Thomas?
So the next SpaceX Falcon Heavy mission is for the United States Space Force, the USSF-44 mission. Not to be confused with the NROL-44 mission, which is on a Delta IV Heavy next week. It's all very confusing, I know. The next Falcon Heavy is now no earlier than February of next year. Off the top of my head, I think they said the 18th. It was from a presentation from one of the brigadier generals in the either Air Force or Space Force. And a presentation we recently gave an update to that launch date. So no Falcon Heavy launches this year. The next one would be this coming February, in the middle of the month. That, of course, will launch from the pad you're looking at, Pad 39A, but we're a few months away from that next launch.
Gotcha. And then over on the other end, also Crazy Kibo, thank you so much for the support over there. That is an awful long time that you've been watching these streams, 69 months. Crazy Kibo has been watching the streams over on the Twitch channel. So I'm here to boop all the snoots. We appreciate you, Kibo. Thank you for that. Also, Space Pat, my buddy that I meet up with at Wallops sometimes, 53 months over there. Space Pat, hope you're doing well today. Hope you're not getting too much of the rain that's passing me, but we appreciate both y'all. Lich Math as well. Tay and 20 popped through. Appreciate everybody showing up. Again, we are currently in a scrub status. We're waiting on SpaceX to maybe tell us why, and we're doing a little bit of Q&A in the meantime. So thank y'all all for the support. One more coming in. Uriah Light saying scrubs aren't a bad thing. It means the people who have the final say on a launch aren't complicit with repeated success and aren't overly confident. So Uriah almost sort of saying a stop work authority there instead of go fever, like launch it, just get it going. Even though it's an internal launch for SpaceX, this is SpaceX's equipment on this. This isn't a third-party customer or anything like that. The people at SpaceX saying, nope, we're not going to launch this today. We'll get it another time. So that's a good point there, Uriah. We appreciate the support. And Scott Wright, thank you for the membership as well. We appreciate you. That's a Capcom membership. no less. That is a
Well,
Capcom
thank you
member.
very much. We really appreciate that. That kind of
Nice.
support is phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's another one. Robert Berghart. I'm not going to ask what your dad's name is, Thomas, but
No, that's him. Hi, Dad.
well,
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Robert says gas money for Thomas and Chris to go back for the next launch with a smiley face and everything. So we appreciate you there, Robert. Thank you so much for providing us such a fantastically talented live stream host
Oh,
and up and coming
geez, here
camera
we go.
operator and some gas money to get him down to the launch. We appreciate you. Oh, you all want me to grab a couple questions here, Thomas?
Yeah, sure. I did actually want to bring up. You brought up a friend you beat at Wallops, and that brought me up with something else I want to bring up. I
Sure.
just said bring up like 3 times in that sentence.
I mean, that's
apologize.
okay. You can continue to bring it up. You shouldn't have brought up the fact that you brought it up so many times.
All right, now I wanted to bring up the upcoming manifest. So we do have this launch that's now going to go no earlier than tomorrow. We did mention a Delta IV Heavy that is currently scheduled for no earlier than a week from Saturday, and that's via Torrey Bruno. They had to replace some hardware after the abort a couple weeks ago. That would be the next launch after the Starlink mission here from Cape Canaveral. And then at the end of the month on the 30th Eastern Time, the first UTC, we'll see another Falcon 9 just from over on my right on pad 40, launching the latest GPS satellite. And then from Wallops, there is an Antares mission coming up, the NG-14 Cygnus spacecraft going to the International Space Station, a cargo mission there. So that's the near-term manifest from over on the east coast of the U.S. And we also have, I should bring up, and we'll probably bring it up again. I keep saying bring it up like 4 times.
Just stop bringing it up. Jeez, just go with it. Nobody will notice except me and everybody, since you keep telling them.
At the end of the stream, I'll remind everyone, but we also have another live stream potentially coming tonight from Boca Chica, Texas, because SpaceX is getting close to testing the SN 7.1 test tank for the Starship development program to a test to failure, which is always fun to see. So there's lots of excitement coming up, even though we had this launch scrub today. So stay tuned for all of that. But before we leave here, we are going to go to some more Q&A. So Das, go ahead.
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, I just want to say real quick, I know people are asking and saying that the SpaceX YouTube stream is still counting down and everything like that. And yes, SpaceX has not said anything, but we do have it on good authority that there has been a scrub for today. We're waiting to hear exactly what that reason is. But again, we can also take some clues from the pad infrastructure right now. We don't see any frosting or anything forming on the bottom of the Falcon 9, and especially that first stage. And they would have to be 7 minutes into fueling at this point.
Yep.
And you would be seeing some indication of vapor starting to form around the bottom of the vehicle. We don't see that yet.
What was the exact time of the launch, Chris? What exactly was the time? 2:19. So if we get through the next 8-9 minutes and we don't see that big 20-minute vent, I mean, all the indications are that there is no fuel going into this rocket. You don't see the condensation. You don't see the activity that we're used to seeing. If we get under 20 minutes and we don't get that big vent, it's just not happening, folks. Yeah. It's the same thing.
To be very clear, before the 20-minute vent, you see condensation all around the rocket, and it's very visible. We have already passed the point where we would see fueling happening. So we are 100% sure fueling has not started, and thus they cannot launch on time. They will scrub to the
There you go, folks. Absolutely.
Right.
Alrighty, so we'll grab a couple questions really quickly here. Here is one. Is the worm logo on the booster still? Because this is the booster that carried Bob and Doug up, isn't it?
As a matter of fact, it is. I cannot see. I only have a small preview of my actual camera view, so I can't get the zoomed-in perspective. In theory, the worm logo should be just to the left of the transporter erector there. So from this view, you might be able to make it out. I don't know if
I think we see it. Yeah.
Can you see it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You see the 4 vertical or the 4 horizontal lines on the bottom part of the transporter erector. You look at the windsock, right? Then look to the left a little bit and up. You see the 4 lines that go across the white part of the transporter erector. If you look just to the left of those 4 lines, you can just barely see the little glint of red in there that looks an awful lot like a worm logo to me. Anybody want to? Does that, Chris? Does that look on your preview? Does that look right to you?
Oh yeah. Yes, those are the markings. That's the worm logo, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, dead
Alrighty.
center. You can also see the American flag and the meatball logo right below the interstage.
Yep.
Yeah. So wonderful proof that SpaceX, whatever these boosters are painted with the first time they fly, they just keep flying with that.
Just keep going. They're not even really hosing them off anymore. They're just
No,
keep
they're
flying
not.
them. I remember that was when
get it back, haul it to the pad, and try again.
that was one of Elon's first things, where at some point he tweeted or said in some presentation that they were going to hose them off and fly them again. So let's see here, some more questions. Do we know what the highest latitude Starlink will support? So, of course, Starlink is that internet satellite constellation that they're building with these Starlink launches. How high latitude will it be able to support? All the way to the pole, or?
I believe it's all the way to the poles. Yes.
So there are
barely shy of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's an important distinction that we make. So the first phase of satellites, which they're launching right now,
Right.
I believe go to some maximum inclination. I'm not going to spit out a number that I don't know for sure. It is very high latitude, but I don't think that gets to what you would like usually call polar coverage. I believe
Right.
there is a polar orbiting component coming later, which will add coverage to those areas not covered by the initial constellation. So I think polar coverage is coming, but I don't think it's like the satellites that we're launching today don't go to what you might determine as polar, but they are very high inclination.
Gotcha.
And so also just seeing some things from colleagues at the Space Center who are also confirming what we are saying, that fueling is not underway, but everyone is just standing by for SpaceX to make an announcement. This has scrubbed.
Yep.
There's no question about that. They are not fueling the Falcon 9 right now. And the launch window today, this changes, so I'm going to pull it up just to make sure I get it right. The launch window today
Hold on one second, guys.
Closes at 2:28. So even with that, we would have to be fueling right now in order to make the end of the window. So this is not like they've pushed to the end of the window or something like that. We've already gone past that point.
Yeah, and it sounds like Thomas is getting a local update there. He asked us to stand by for a second, and you can hear him talking in the background. So he may be getting official word at the press site there. Go ahead, Thomas.
We just got an announcement over the loudspeakers here at the press site. I didn't catch all of it and wasn't entirely clear. They were saying something about a hazard somewhere. I know that's way too vague to be useful in any way, shape, or form. I was hoping they were going to announce the scrub or something. So something is going on, but it could be completely unrelated to this launch, not that important.
Yeah.
Thought it might be important, so yeah.
Reminding people to wear their masks and social distance.
It might have been something like that. I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for listening. And if you hear anything else, just let us know. And
yep, will do.
We'll see if we can get an update. I can grab some more Q&A here.
Let's do it.
See. Does this batch have lasers on them? So talking about the laser communication systems on Starlink satellites, does this batch have any lasers?
I don't think we have any official word on the exact status of that part of the Starlink program.
Gotcha. So SpaceX has not told us, yes, there are lasers, no, there are not lasers. It's something they've talked about, I think, but
I know they said that that's in the plan somewhere.
Right.
And that's a way for satellites to communicate to one another and send data that way. Don't think we have any official info on what the status of that as far as actually being deployed is concerned.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
In terms of full deployment, we do not, but we have mentioned on a stream prior, which I think is what we're all trying to dance around. We have mentioned before on a stream that ones with lasers have launched to start testing that, but we don't know the full status of complete deployment. If that makes sense.
I didn't even know that, but I didn't want to.
Okay,
All right, I'm just going to keep going through Q&A. I mean, there's over 4,000 people hanging out with us right now, so let's just keep on keeping on here.
Let's do it.
Could they not send up more Starlinks if they used Falcon Heavy instead? So this is from Not in Service. Why aren't they launching Starlinks with Falcon Heavy? What's going on there from a
very good question
volume?
And I think I have a decent answer too.
Yeah.
So we do know, and you can see some of the videos that SpaceX has released from Starlink missions, that the payload fairing is not completely full. It's pretty full, but it is not so full that you can't literally fit more Starlinks into the fairing. They could do that if they wanted to. What we believe the current limiting factor and why it's 60 Starlink satellites per mission is that is the maximum weight that a Falcon 9 can launch while still enabling stage 1 recovery to this particular orbit height as well. Obviously, there's lots of factors indicating that.
And not just, it's exactly right, but with one other factor as well. It's not, so yes, it enables stage 1 recovery to keep it at 60, but the mass of 60 of them also allows for single, dual, and triple engine out redundancies.
Right, okay.
Complete the mission and sacrifice the booster in the process. So anyway,
so basically it's the maximum payload they can launch with all of their margins for propellant landings or propulsive landings, as well as engine out capability to still remain intact. And that is again for a Falcon 9. So going back to the question, why don't they do Falcon Heavy to launch more? I'm going to think about it this way. You can't fit 60 more satellites in the fairing. I think that's a fair bet. So you can't double your payload capacity, even if you're launching out a Falcon Heavy. Although they are developing a new enlarged payload fairing, so maybe that'll change it a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see on that. That's a future thing. But with the current payload fairing, you can't double your payload capacity, and a Falcon Heavy doesn't quite double the launch cost, I don't think. But I believe if you filled the payload fairing to the very top and launched it on a Falcon Heavy, I think the cost to launch those satellites per satellite would actually still go up, because I don't think you can increase the payload capacity enough to offset the increased cost of launching a Falcon Heavy mission versus Falcon 9. So it makes more sense to max out Falcon 9s and launch them over and over again. Am I getting that right, Chris?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah.
Added cost, complexity, and risk of launching them on a Heavy when a Falcon 9 can do, right, is definitely a factor. But and I think you're right, Thomas. Like, maybe we'll see a Heavy eventually launch one of these.
Right, with that new fairing, that could change things. We don't know.
Yep. Right, but right now a Falcon Heavy would just simply get you more cost, more complexity, more risk, and nothing more for your reward.
Just a few more satellites, which is not really worth it. It's also worth noting that Falcon Heavies can only launch from the pad you're looking at, pad 39A, whereas Falcon 9s can launch from both 39A and 40. So as far as launch cadence is concerned, to get Starlinks up as quickly as possible, you can fire them off 2 pads at once using Falcon 9s, and so that's something to consider. You might actually get the satellites to orbit faster by only using Falcon 9s because you can launch them more frequently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm gonna repeat really quickly. I see more people saying, oh, there's no official word. Oh, they may still launch. Again, y'all, we are now less than 20 minutes away from the scheduled launch that was supposed to be at 2:19. We're 18 minutes away from that. There are no signs that there is fuel in this vehicle at all. There's no vapors. There's no venting. We're already past the point where they would do that big 20-minute vent. If a lot of people seem to be really holding out hope that something's going on here, but we see no signs that this vehicle is being prepared for launch in less than 20 minutes from the launch, it's pretty good indication this one is not going today. So again, I understand no official word. We're standing by for that, but it's not going. There's no fuel.
It is 100% confirmed that it's not happening. We just don't have the official statement from SpaceX.
There you go.
And let me clear up why it's 100% certain it's not happening. They're not fueling yet, and the launch window for today closes in 26 minutes. So no way.
Right.
And Falcon 9s take 35 minutes to fuel. So
there you go.
So, yeah.
Oh, but Elon has a new 21-minute fueling process. No, it's not. People, really, it's just not.
Although it would be very SpaceX to just roll that out right now, wouldn't they?
We will eat our words if we are wrong.
Well, something tells me the COPV tanks would have a slightly different thing to say if they tried that. But
valid point.
Again, we understand. We see people are saying that. I haven't checked the SpaceX stream. I don't even know if that thing is still counting down. But again, we're standing by for the official word. But all indications are the launch is scrubbed. That's what we're reporting at this time. How's that?
And I can actually ask a question for Chris here that might be even another sign. And I haven't been to this press site for a non-NASA mission before, so I don't know if this is significant. Chris, the countdown clock at the press site has been blank since I got here. Do they usually use that even on non-NASA missions?
So that's one of those frustrating yes and no answers.
Okay, so it wouldn't have been definitive anyway.
No. They used to, but we have not. But because nobody is physically working at the NASA press site because they're still working from home for the pandemic, there's no one there to turn it on, and because it's not a NASA mission, a NASA employee is not going to come in to turn it on.
Okay,
Is
so-
the basic point of that.
Okay, so we
Do
don't
they
know
have like
for
a big
sure,
switch?
but-
I imagine
Well,
like
I mean,
the
there's at
NASA
least-
janitor
there's-
going over ka-chunk and like turning on the clock.
I'm sure it's a far less impressive button than all of us just pictured.
Like one of those big Frankenstein switches. It's like ka-chunk, and then the clock like powers up and turns on. It's like a TV screen now, like at a sporting event, one of those big
yeah, it's like a
multifunction
big
displays.
LCD screen.
Yeah, a big LCD screen sort of thing. So, hey, some support shout outs real quick. Christopher Potarala, thank you for the membership. Also, Fernando Ochoa Olivares, another one there as well. We appreciate the support. Cinefoxy as well with some euros. Boop the snoots, rip rocket grounded, nice. And then Fernando again there with saying looks neat, some more Mexican pesos, it looks like, if I've got my abbreviations correctly. Fernando, we appreciate the support there as we stand by for the official confirmation from SpaceX that this is scrubbed for sure. Anyways.
Even though it totally
SpaceX,
is.
We just got official confirmation from SpaceX. This is Michael.
Oh,
Sorry
we
for
did.
interrupting.
Hi, Michael. How's it going?
But SpaceX says the launch was scrubbed due to recovery issue. So they didn't say what recovery issue, but recovery issue was the phrase they used.
Yeah, right
So
there. I got
that's
the tweet on the
interesting.
screen. Standing down from today's Starlink launch due to recovery issue. Vehicle and payload remain healthy. Next launch is tomorrow, 18th at 1:57. So rolling forward by a couple minutes there, but 1:57 tomorrow. Keeping an eye on the weather, like we were talking about.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it should be noted that they did not say recovery weather, although that could be the issue because that is technically a recovery issue. But it also could be some sort of technical issue regarding the drone ship or the fairing recovery ship, or something else related to the recovery team. So a couple different things that could mean, but it's important to note, a few years ago, lots of people were asking the question, if recovery cannot be enabled because of weather or some other issue, but the mission could still get to orbit as planned, would SpaceX delay missions? Now, this is an internal mission, so they are much more likely to wait it out a day to get their booster back. If they're flying for a different customer, things might be different. But it is worth pointing out, and this has happened a couple times now, that SpaceX will delay launches by a day just to make sure that they can still recover all of their reusable hardware, because that is very important to supporting their manifest, etc. So something worthy of pointing out there.
Well, and exactly what you were just saying, Thomas, and to jump off of there, we have actually seen them scrub because of an inability to recover the booster for a paying customer mission. One of the NASA CRS flights in May of 2019 was originally supposed to launch on May 3rd, and there was a drone ship power issue, and they scrubbed it, and then came back on May the 4th and launched and landed the booster on the drone ship. So we've already seen them also scrub for a recovery-related event for a paying customer as well.
Gotcha. So what do y'all want to do? I mean, here's another super chat from Fernando. Fernando, thank you again, asking when the next broadcast will be. For this launch, actually, we'll be looking at tomorrow. SpaceX saying that the window will be opening, or the launch will be scheduled for tomorrow just before 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So this one, look for us about 23 hours from now. But for other things that are going on, we are also going to be covering Starship testing out at Boca Chica. There should be a stream, hopefully later today, Starship SN 7.1, that test tank that SpaceX is supposedly testing to failure. We will be planning on bringing you that live from Boca Chica, Texas, as well later this evening. I believe, Michael, correct me on this one, I think that test window opens at 9 or 10 Central Time, if I'm not mistaken.
It's from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Central Time.
9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Central Time. So we'll be standing by for SpaceX to give that a test. And I got
Chris
to
just realized he's not going to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, well, yes, I did just realize that too. But I was also like, so Dawson Thomas, my fellow East Coast time zone people, how much did you just internally go, oh?
Sleep is for the weak, Chris, okay?
Sleep
okay,
is
but
for
you're
the weak.
20. Like
22, thank you very much.
Okay.
Still getting gas money. Hey, I'm gonna toss this in real quick as well. Talking about other live streams, I've got another live stream coming up this afternoon. I'll be doing a virtual event with Intrepid Museum talking about asteroid return missions. We've got some experts from NASA Goddard and Johnson Space Center who will be talking to us about missions which return samples from asteroids. And that is going to be a live Q&A, just like we do the NASA spaceflight stuff over on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/DasValdez. That starts at 5 p.m. Eastern with the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum and some actual NASA scientists doing asteroid return Q&A. So if you're interested in that, you can check my Twitch channel out over there. I'm putting the link in the YouTube chat. If you're on the Twitch channel, well, you're already there. So anyways, you know how to find me.
Well,
had to throw that in real quick.
Yeah, no, that sounds absolutely fascinating because I think it was yesterday that NASA officially confirmed that OSIRIS-REx will make the touchdown and sample collection attempt on the 20th of October.
You got it.
Next month. So yeah, so that's wonderfully cool. Yeah, I'll be watching for sure.
2 of the mission scientists who are going to talk about exactly how they're going to capture and return those samples. I've got all this cool, like, super micrometer images of how the surface actually picks up the samples, and they've got like stainless steel Velcro and stuff like this that adheres the asteroid bits and bobs and little dust samples, and the electrostatic charge that attracts. Like, it's crazy how complicated it is just to get a little bit of dirt off of an asteroid. I mean, it's really cool technology. So dirt, asteroid, regolith, whatever you call it these days.
Space
asteroid
dirt.
chunks.
Space
dirt. I like it. Space dirt. So what do we want to do here, Thomas? Go ahead.
We are starting to pack up here at the press site. It's getting time for the remote camera here at the Kennedy Space Center press site to go away. So I think we're at the point we should start wrapping this up.
Alrighty. Good deal. So who wants to do the outro and explain what's going on and what to expect?
I'll go real quick.
There you go.
All right.
Go for it, Thomas.
Okay. So thank you everyone for tuning in today. Unfortunately, we have had a scrub today due to an unspecified recovery issue, according to SpaceX. So there will be no launch today. The next attempt, no earlier than 1:57 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. And that is, I'm going to do the math in my head, 17:57 UTC. Again, so no earlier than tomorrow, and they are watching weather closely because the weather does not look great for that attempt, although weather did improve today. So always a chance, of course. So we will be here for that, assuming that weather cooperates enough for us to get here to the press site tomorrow. But before that, tonight, there is some Starship testing, and you will find live coverage of that here on the NASA Spaceflight YouTube channel. So stay tuned for future updates on this mission and others. But for now, we are going to be signing off as the Starlink launch today has been scrubbed. So Spaceflight, I'm going to start packing up the gear here.
Sure.
Chris and Das, you can take it from here.
All right, folks. So the voice you just heard, that was Thomas Berghart. He was our camera operator and commentator out there at the KSC press site. He's got to start packing some stuff up. Back in the studio, we had Chris Gebhardt, assistant managing editor for NASA Spaceflight. Chris, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Always a pleasure.
All right, we'll be seeing you tomorrow and potentially for some of the SpaceX testing this evening, depending on what time they get that rolling. And you can find Chris on Twitter. He's at ChrisG_NSF. And then lastly, over here, I'm John Galloway with NASA Spaceflight. If you see me over on Twitch, you may know me as Das. I know, super confusing real names. How do they work? But I am over on Twitter. K Space Academy is me on Twitter. And over my Twitch is there as well, twitch.tv/DasValdez, if you're interested in that asteroid sample return discussion that we're having in just about 3 hours with the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum in New York City. But everybody, thank you so much. Oh, I even see there's even more super chats and stuff. Rough Riders, Santa Foxy, thank y'all for those late breaking super chats. The Texas Tank Watchers hat, nice, Rough Riders. We appreciate all the support. We're able to do these live streams because y'all keep showing up. But for now, this is going to be the NASA Spaceflight team signing off until we come back online here on this channel for some Starship testing later this evening. Thank you all for joining us. Later, nerds.
Chamber pressure looks good. Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers, fly!
Flight downside of speed off. Off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.